Good day, good day. The title of this transmission is How the Oversoul Works. We are going to explain a little bit about the different levels of Oversoul that can exist. Sometimes this has come up as a question of reincarnation, where a question has been asked about the idea of whether or not people reincarnate, but also whether or not, as has been said in some of your stories and some of your legends, people can reincarnate as different things, such as animals or insects or plants or what have you. Now, as we have said, time in a sense is an illusion, and therefore no one really reincarnates in the classic linear sense, although you can create an experience or an appearance of reincarnation. But this is primarily viewed from your linear perspective, so it just looks like it works out that way, where one life happens after another, after another, after another. But that's not actually mechanically, as we have explained, what's happening, because everything exists at once. Everyone, everything, everywhere, every when, all exists at the same time. Therefore, being that everything does exist at the same time, what you are actually experiencing are cross connections, energetic links to other beings that exist at the same time you do, in the same moment that you do. And by making those links, but coming from a linear perspective, you're interpreting those energetic links along which information is being downloaded to you, experiences being shared with you, and you might be sharing your experiences and information with these other beings at other times in your so-called history, past or future. And you interpret that information sharing as if it's a memory, as if it's something from the past, as if you, as the individual you are, lived before. The soul that you are lived before. Again, this is not the case. All things are happening at once. But you interpret those links in a past, present, future sort of way from your linear physical reality perspective. Now, recently the question was asked that an individual experienced a synchronous event with regard to certain animals and wondered, after members of their family had passed into spirit, linearly speaking, were these animals a reincarnation of those individuals, because it seemed to them that the behavior of the animals somehow reflected the people that had passed on, that they were, in a sense, messages from those people. Now, in a sense, this can be so. But again, it's not that that person came back as an animal, reincarnationally speaking. Again, the Oversoul contains all of these things simultaneously. The human souls, the animal souls, the plant souls, insect souls, what have you. All at once, on a larger scale, the larger, higher version of an Oversoul. And there are different levels to this, or can be. There can be an Oversoul of human souls. There can be an Oversoul of animal souls, an Oversoul of plant souls, insect souls, even rock consciousness. But the idea is that there can be these Oversouls that are differentiated specifically for those groups, but there can be a greater Oversoul that encapsulates all those things, the Oversouls of the collective of any given world, or even Oversouls of collectives of many different worlds, or galaxies, or universes. So on the level of the Oversoul, that is something that also can contain the human souls and the animal souls and the insect souls and the plant souls and the rock souls, soul equating to the idea of awareness or consciousness in some way, shape, or form, then the same Oversoul extension that might have been a human that was alive with you, linearly speaking, can also send an extension of an animal soul from the same level, from the same collective Oversoul, and it will contain a frequency of energy, a signature vibration that will let you feel as if it's coming from the human soul that you knew as a physical being, but it's simply the same oversoul sending another extension from itself as an animal that contains a similar vibration enough to recognize it as coming from the same oversoul. Because it's all about the idea of recognizing the vibration of the theme of the human. Themes can definitely cross into human extensions, animal extensions, plant extensions, what have you, so that you can recognize the commonality of a theme vibration that exists for the human, for the animal, for the plant, and thus you may feel or believe that you're actually seeing the human reincarnated as an animal or a plant, when in fact you're simply seeing another extension of the same collective oversoul that contains the same vibrational theme within it that you would recognize as being connected to the person that you knew. So you have to realize how many levels the oversoul can exist in, how many different ways it can express itself depending upon that level. You can look at some of the higher collective oversouls almost like smaller versions of all that is, because they can contain many, many things. Now again, this doesn't mean that just because they're extending one thing that all the others are just sort of waiting in the wings. Remember, time is an illusion and everything is happening at once. So all these expressions of an oversoul, all the different versions of the souls that they may represent, are going on at the same time, all living, all expressing themselves in the same moment, without a time factor that you would recognize as linear. So it's not like any of these are idle, waiting to be extended. They're all being extended, they're all being expressed, they're all being experienced, they're all having their own experiences, all in the same moment of existence, because there is only one moment in existence. I know that this can be a little bit challenging for third dimensional and fourth dimensional beings to wrap their minds around, but that's all right. You will, as you ponder this, simply get the hang of it eventually. And it's not that important that you do in terms of your daily lives, but it's important to understand how things work, mechanically speaking, energetically speaking, so that there is no confusion in your definitions about what's happening. So you can understand that something can be created as a reincarnational experience, as if it's the person you knew coming back as an animal or a plant, but simply understand mechanically that that's just an experience that you're being given so that you can recognize the thematic connection between these things, have some familiarity with the messages being delivered to you coming from that oversoul, but that all these things are separate unto themselves. All these things are having their own individuated experiences as humans, as animals, as plants, as insects, as rocks, as whatever. And it's all happening at the same time mechanically. But the idea of whatever it is you're receiving as a linear experience is important for you to recognize the synchronicity therein and the connections therein that are allowing you to recognize messages being delivered to you in some way, shape, or form by the same oversoul that delivered the soul, the individual human soul that you were familiar with, and simply reaching out to you in another way that is symbolically representative of what the human soul may wish to send you, if they wish to do it in that way, or the oversoul wishes to do it in that way. That would be representative synchronistically of a symbol that works for you, that carries the same theme, but is delivered by a different form of messenger that is also important to recognize in your life as a symbol that works for you, with meaning that you've given it, that you've defined it with, synchronistically in your life to propel you forward in exploring what that symbol means to you. So, for example, if a human you knew that has passed on, suddenly a hummingbird shows up, and you somehow recognize through synchronicity that it's thematically connected to the human that you knew, then understand again mechanically it's not actually the reincarnated human, but it's an extension of the same level of oversoul and coming in a form, the hummingbird, that symbolically represents something to you, the definitions you've given to different objects and things in life, that works in your favor to suss out for yourself what that symbol represents. A lot of times, symbolically, A hummingbird on your planet represents the idea of acceleration, speeding things up energetically, vibrationally. So it may be a message through the oversoul from the human soul with the extension of the hummingbird saying, if you raise your vibration, if you accelerate your vibration, you'll be able to connect to the human soul that you knew in a spiritual way. So you have to look at the context of the symbol being delivered to you from the oversoul and not necessarily just think, oh, it's the human reincarnating as a hummingbird. Again, the experience is valid as a symbol, but it's not necessarily representative of the mechanism that's going on, because the oversoul can extend itself and does extend itself simultaneously in 1,000 different ways. Recognizing how the mechanics works helps you interpret the symbol a little bit more clearly, while not necessarily letting go of the connection that you feel to the human that you knew as a physical being. So ponder that, if you will, and let it sink in, and see what happens in the increase in your ability to perceive synchronicity and extensions of the oversoul in a variety of different ways, while not losing touch with the idea that the human soul may also be involved in sending that message to you, but in a way that works best for you in the symbols you understand. We thank you for allowing us to share this idea of this different new level, higher level of the oversoul and its capabilities as a mini version of all that is, functioning simultaneously. And we ask in return, in what way may we now be of service to you? Please begin with your dialogues and questions, if you wish.
Good day, Bashar.
Good day, good day.
Oh, so exciting to speak to you, finally.
And you as well.
I have a couple of questions about my dreams as well. One is a realization about several dreams that I've had with a group of children. And I was wondering, sometimes it's obvious that I teach these children something.
Yes.
For example, for one time we were in a forest and I was handing them out keys. Every child got a key.
Yes.
And then the most recent dream, they were actually teaching me something, and they took me by the hand and said, let us show you something.
Yes, this is your interactions with the hybrid children.
Okay, that was my question. They are hybrid children.
Yes. You are teaching them the ways of Earth so they can understand how to survive on Earth when they eventually come to live among you physically.
Okay. Is this, am I contributing to the hybrid agenda in this way, or can you tell me more about my contribution?
Well, your contributions have included the idea of genetic material, energy templates, and again, acclimatization teaching. Those are the three main levels of involvement of humans on the Earth that have agreed to participate in the hybridization agenda as part of the evolution of humanity.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Now there's another dream, which was many years ago, but it stuck by me because it was the most amazing dream, where I literally became a whale. And I realized it in the moment, and I was so excited that I took a deep dive first, and then, went above the water and splashed and leapt above the water.
Yes.
Was this a moment where I was connecting with Sirius? Was there a message for me?
Well, again, the idea is, yes, there's a serious connection, but also the idea of connecting to the life forms on your planet in a shamanistic way that allows you a broader experience of the way life expresses itself and the joy therein. So you are stretching your shamanistic muscles to be able to start identifying or shifting your frequency of consciousness in a way that allows you to start identifying with other forms of life, especially those that are connected to extraterrestrial connections you have, such as Sirius, through the whales and the dolphins.
Wow, that's really amazing. Coming back to the shamanism, more about that.
Yes.
I've gotten a book about a medicine woman from the I hope that I pronounce this right, the Diné people, the Navajo
Diné,
people.
yes, Diné. The Navajo, Diné.
Yes. And I opened up the book and there were many photos in there of her people in the 1930s and the 1940s.
Yes.
And I don't know exactly what happened, but I just started crying and I started touching the photos and it was as if I was looking at relatives. So
Oh, yes.
there's a connection there as well.
Well, yes, of course. As we have just explained, the idea of reincarnation is simply that everyone exists simultaneously, but you make connections. You make energetic connections to those beings in different time frames that serve you in this life. So with regard to the idea of your connection to the earth, nature, remember teaching the children in the forest, the idea of shamanistic experiences, connecting to what you call Mother Earth, you have a very strong series of connections to a lot of American Indian tribes, especially those that were exploring the idea of shamanism and spirit and so on and so forth. So therefore, you have felt the connection when it opened up in your heart that you have made. You have seen a physical representation in photographic form of energetic connections you have made to assist you on your journey in this life in a shamanistic way.
Yes, this was rather new to me to see the photos and have something happen like that. That was really interesting, to say the least.
All right, well, get used to it.
Yes, okay, I will. One more question that I just came up whilst you were having the monologue.
Yes.
You spoke about our theme a lot recently, well, to me.
Yes.
And it just came, the question came to me, is it part of our theme to figure out what our theme is?
Your theme is you. You are unique. It is the idea of exploring everything that comes up as a challenge in your life as part of your theme of exploration. To know yourself as this version of you, as this version of all that is, as best as you possibly can, and express that in your life. Your theme is you, what makes you unique, and the things that come to you that allow you to explore and discover more about who this you is. That's your theme.
Okay, very clear. Thank you so much, Bashar.
You are welcome. Good day.
Good day.
Hello, Bashar. This is Kasia from Denmark. I have a question about precursors. In one of your sessions, you were sharing a little bit information about precursors. And just after your session, me and my husband, we went for a walk. And we sit down on a bench and suddenly appear a man who was really observing us. But the way that we both had the feelings that this might be one of the precursors. Can you tell me a little bit about it? And I would love to know a little more about precursors and also how many they are at this moment in Denmark. Thank you very much and unconditional love to you deeply from my heart. Have a good day. Bye.
They are those who walk among you to see if you recognize, as you did, their vibration as being something different from what you would recognize as typical humanity. So, yes, you observed precursor energy. Not allowed to tell you how many there are in any given location on your planet, but there are definitely dozens around your world. Dozens and dozens. Good day, good day.
Good day, good day.
All right. What would you like to discuss this day?
Thank you, Bashar. I would like to talk about blending and balancing our perceptions and attention. I believe that we are blended beings, and we are constantly finding a balance between our perception of our physical self and our non-physical self.
Yes.
And I'm just wondering how, because moment by moment, my attention is also going from my emotions to my body to my mind. And sometimes I find I just find there's so many dimensions. And I'm just wondering if you have any advice on how to keep kind of a balance and evenly distributing our attention so that we stay appreciative and inclusive.
You are familiar with the formula that we have outlined for all of you?
Yes, I posted on Facebook this week.
Well, living it is how you do exactly what you're asking to do. It's built into that idea. That's why we give it to you all, because it contains everything you need to maintain the balance and accelerate your vibration in life. All the tools that are attendant to it, all the things that open up automatically when you follow the formula, are the things that allow you to consider anything you need to consider at any given moment to know yourself more deeply and to remain in balance by exploring whatever it brings to your attention at that moment. Do you understand?
Yes, I do. It's a moment by moment being aware and
Yes. So whatever synchronicity brings to your attention at that moment through the tools that automatically unfold when you follow the formula as precisely as possible are the things you need to pay attention to achieve exactly what you're saying.
Can I also ask a question about countries such as India, which I will visit soon, which have a very rich spiritual tradition, and how we might, how best to introduce sort of the cutting edge channel teachings are quite, we're all equally powerful, whereas the traditions of India, it was much more almost a hierarchy, and the master and the student. Could you talk a bit about how to marry that better?
When the synchronistic opportunity presents itself to share information based on your understanding of these principles, then by all means do so with absolutely no requirement or any need whatsoever that the person you're sharing it with needs to listen to you.
Absolutely. And the ascension process, how might we best describe that to people who are sort of reaching out for that new level of awareness of this sort of overall process that we're all, going away from fear towards love?
Everything is based on resonance and frequency of energy, vibrations. Therefore, the idea of raising a vibration is tantamount to ascension. So it's an ongoing process. And as you again follow the formula and act on your passion, your vibration is automatically raised. And that is a process of ascension.
And when we are co-creating in projects with other people, how best do we sort of, when we're in the planning process of maybe creating a workshop or something about law of attraction, how do we get out of our own way?
Well, what is it that you feel is in your way?
Well, I just feel that I want to be a vessel. I want to be able to just flow moment by moment with anyone that I'm.
All right. However, no insistence. So if something comes up that gets you to focus on something you need to focus on within yourself, then there's a reason for that coming up. And it's about dealing with it and focusing on it and understanding why it's there. That will actually help you flow better, not only with others, but with yourself, because it gives you the opportunity to identify and empathize with others that may be going through their own process as you go through your process. And you will become better at it and a clearer channel as you process whatever it is that comes up that is out of alignment with who you actually prefer to be.
Absolutely, absolutely. And neutrality, we have our passions, we keep our passions, but I believe we're sort of letting go of our preferences. We're having less insistence.
No, you're not letting go of your preferences, but you are having less insistence on the idea that you know what the outcome needs to be of your preferences. Let the synchronicity show you what the outcome actually needs to be. You don't let go of your preferences, but you stop insisting on the form in which your preferences manifest.
Yes. And Bashar, when we're physically in the presence of each other in a spiritual community, I mean, we are all connected on so many levels. Yes. And yet when we're physically together, yes. In a meditation group, it seems more powerful, or seems more resonant, or more
well, yes, of course. You understand the difference between positive mechanical energy and negative mechanical energy. The definition of positive energy is that which expands and integrates and therefore adds to and multiplies in an exponential way. Negative energy disconnects the feeling, as we say, and allows you to experience that isolation, so to speak, in a negative way. Everyone is still an individual, but when you work together in a common cause, you are magnifying and amplifying the general vibrational effect, because positive energy and positive intention goes in that connective direction. Therefore, as you say, it's more than the sum of its parts.
And inclusion. Yes. It just seems that we are stepping more and more into including everything rather than, this separateness that we have. We come into this physical reality with this, matrix of, I'm separate from you, I'm separate from this table.
All right, now, one moment. Don't make the mistake of defining separateness as negative.
Yes.
Because there are positive things going on that allow you to experience your individuality. And without the concept of separateness, you would not be able to do that or discover the uniqueness that you are. So it's not about eliminating the concept of separateness. It's about working with separateness in a positive way to validate all the individual uniqueness. And that's what forms the unity that you're seeking.
Yes, yes.
All right.
And do you have any advice for people who are starting new projects about maybe how to tune in to allow the inspiration to...
Make sure the project is representative of your passion and all the components that go with it. The people must be correct and in line with that idea. Allow yourself to plan without insistence, so that you can be flexible in your plan. Be open to input from others who are also equally excited about the idea of the project, because you don't necessarily know the ideal path. Allow yourself the flexibility to, as you say, include things while not necessarily losing sight of the idea of the project. Look deeper and allow everyone the opportunity to look deeper in why the project is important to them, so that you don't have to get caught up necessarily in individual insistences about what they think needs to happen in order for that to be achieved, but go down to the basics, because on the basic level, you will find that almost everyone involved in the project has the same basic goal of allowing it to be representative of their passion, something they love, something that allows them to be heard, supported while they're supporting. It's again the puzzle pieces that support the whole puzzle picture, allowing everyone to be themselves, to be the shape that they're truly made in, and validated for who they are, so that they can all connect through synchronicity and allow the big picture to unfold naturally, even though it may unfold in an unexpected way. That would be our suggestions.
Thank you. And just my last question. Why do we have so many of our, I don't know if you call them, we are all spiritual leaders and teachers, but so many channeled teachings are coming in that form now. Why is that? It seems to be so independent and so kind of showing us that we are all channeling. Because
you have asked all of us to start interacting with you more concretely, more obviously, because you are expanding your consciousness to be more inclusive of those things that you heretofore didn't necessarily know existed or believe existed. That's one of the things that happens when you expand your consciousness. You invite others in from other dimensional realms that can be of assistance to you, and remind you that you have all the capabilities that we exhibit. It's just getting you to believe in yourselves. Does that help you?
Totally. And thank you so much, and much love from Salala.